All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Dash pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right, and what I want to go into, this morning, is dealing with, being content. How the truth, it teaches us to be content and to be patient, for the reward that's to come, and the leverage that Esau is going to have on a lot of people in this world, at first, all right, especially in America, people are very impatient. People what they want, and they want it when they want it, and this is the conditioning of convenience, okay? So people are used to, quick results. Everything is about quick results, in this society, so when this world, especially in America, get puts in a position, okay, of difficulty, they're going to want a quick result. They're going to want a quick fix, okay? And the devil is going to present, all right, this MOTB as a quick fix, And one thing about the truth is teaching us to be content with our day-to-day, This world, taught us to indulge, taught us, to be undisciplined, all right? But one thing about, the scriptures, it teaches us discipline, and that discipline spills over, okay, into our daily life, man. That's why as we become disciplined in his word, brothers become disciplined in their diet, disciplined in their lust, disciplined in, drinking, disciplined in how they move and, spending money. Like brothers just level up in every category because the truth spills over. If we really practice this truth, if we really, begin to, rehearse, the righteous acts, all right? If this word is really beginning to change us into a new creature, then it spills over into our day-to-day, And once we start seeing the results, especially once we start experiencing the peace, it ain't no going back. One thing I'm, finding out, more and more, peace is not in material things, because matter of fact, let's get this real quick. This is Sirach 29 and 22. It says, it is better to be poor and live under your own cruel roof than enjoy lavish banquets in other people's home. And they can go, so many different ways, because first it's a mindset of having, sovereignty, It's a mindset of having sovereignty, man, because right now, this is Esau's house. The earth is his house, okay? This is his house. So in order to continue on and participate, where he's finna change the house rules, where you have to get the MOTB, okay? And we know, look, it's rather for us to lose everything, okay, and keep our integrity than to sell out and participate in this man's new world order, okay? But that mindset starts now, That's why, we're not thrilled to participate in this man's society now. When we was in the world, we had the mindset of, just chase, chase, chase the latest trend, chase the woman, chase the money, chase the clout, chase the street cred, chase this, chase that, chase to be a rapper, be an athlete, be this, be that. It was just all about chase, and never being content. Now, of course, we're not telling you to go and be poor and be destitute. No, we're just telling you having a mindset of being content, okay, with the situation that the Lord, has us in, man. And we're going to have to be content with the situation that we're in during the time of Jacob's trouble, man, because we got to go through the straight gate. So it's going to be a time of uncomfort. So we got to know we're learning to be content now so we can be content then, okay? Because as, the scriptures, all right, go into, man, all right, we're going to have to take loss on this side, okay? So if we can't take being downgraded for a month, you might go through, a certain situation and we might have to downgrade, live a certain way, for a month or two. If we can't do that now, how are we gonna do that in Jacob's trouble, man? Because the truth requires sacrifice, man. And there's no telling what predicament that the Lord might have us in to maintain the truth, man. You know? Sometimes the Lord tests us and see what we're willing to give up to keep this truth. Okay? So the Lord have us abounding and he have us abased. Okay? But the one common thing is that he's always there. So when we come into Jacob's trouble, it's like, nah, I'd rather go without and trust in my power, okay, than to make an impulsive move just to continue participating in another man's house, man. It's Esau's house, man. Okay, we should be disgusted at Esau's house, man. We're waiting, all right, to get out of here, man. We want out the house, okay? So it's not going to be, Lord willing, we keep that same spirit, and he's not going to have to work hard to kick us out the house, man, which is just greed. You know, you see, we should voluntarily leave when it's that time when we can't go further because it requires the MOTB. Okay, so the Lord is teaching us to be content now. You know, when you read verse 23, it says, "Be happy with what you have, even if it isn't very much." And that's the thing. The spirit of appreciation. This truth really begins to draw out the spirit of appreciation, man. And like I said, I'm learning now, man, the happiness ain't in things. The intangible things, go way farther than material things. Like I said, of course, you got your essentials, which the Lord take care of that, man. As adults, we know what we got to do as adults to maintain ourselves, man. With all this extra and trying to maintain, these lifestyles and keep up with this and follow this trend and trying to impress this woman and impress these niggas and get this, this the trending phone, this the trending shoe, this the trending, man, damn that, man. Peace feels so much better than a new pair of shoes, man. Clarity, peace of mind, favor with the Most High, feels so much better, all right, than an outfit or a certain type of car. Okay? Those say we are experiencing a different level of peace, man, that this world can't experience, man. There's only there's only a handful of people on the earth that can experience the favor of the Most High. Okay? That has the privilege to serve the Most High, that has the privilege to be in the inner courts of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai and understand what's really going on, man. Understanding what we got to come on the other side. Understanding what's happening in the world. Okay? So that's rare enough, man. Okay? You got Jake, out here shoe hunting for the rarest shoe. Nah, man, we got this wisdom, man. We got this understanding, man. That's way more rare than anything that these people can obtain, man. And we know what's on the other side. That's what's going to make a lot of people fold because they don't understand what's on the other side, okay, of the MOTB. You see? So, matter of fact, let's go here to the book of this 1 Timothy chapter 6. Okay, and yep, this is 1 Timothy 6:6, and I'll read it in the in the NLT. It said yet true godliness with contentment is itself great wealth. Okay, true godliness with contentment is itself great wealth, man. In godliness, man, we're becoming like the Most High through Yahweh Shai. We beginning to think like Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, react like Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, judge like Yahweh Bashim Al Shai. We're beginning to line up. We're beginning to align with our power. Okay, that's godliness, man. That's great wealth. We're aligning with our power because we're gonna get the stuff. See, through faith, we know the stuff coming. Material thing that's coming, man. That's Come on, man. It's on default, man. It's gonna be on automatic. You see? But the intangible things, man. You know, the process of becoming aligned with our power, man. That's great wealth, man. You know, we should fall in love with that process, man. That should mean more to us than the material things of this world, man. All right, the little temporary thrills of this world, man. You know, shouldn't compare to, the feeling of becoming in line with our power, man. You know, the brotherhood, then just we are because and the Lord so beautiful, man, that it's not like, we just these lone wolves in the world. We got the brotherhood, we got the body. We got rich friendships. We don't got the toxic friendships of the world. We got rich friendships amongst the brotherhood, man. You truly brothers, man. We're abundant in that, man. A lot of that's why, in this truth, man, we come into an abundance mindset, man. When you just sit back and, look at, the true wealth that we got, as far as the brotherhood, as far as this wisdom, as far as the spirit of the Lord dealing with us, man. You know, being refined, man, becoming in alignment with our power, man. We got it because we got enough food for the day. And brothers sip, we got enough to sip for the day. For the most part, man, brothers be good. Okay? The simple pleasures we need, the essentials plus the look, simple pleasures, brothers need. We got plenty of it, man. So we're wealthy, and then we got, another level of wealth to come, because we got another level of wisdom that the Lord finna give us, man. You see, like, we just beginning, man. It just, what scripture say, we seen but a spark. We seen but a few of his works, man. Okay? Just so much to learn about ourselves, man. So much to learn about the earth, man. Okay? Just being obsessed with these things, man. Because we finna inherit the earth. Why not learn about the earth that we finna inherit, man? Learn about the things that this world doesn't even consider. Because you got people with millions of dollars with poor health. Billions of dollars, poor health, man. Okay? So when you go back to 1 Timothy 6 and 7, it says, after all, we brought nothing with us when we came into the world, and we can take nothing with us when we leave it, man. Look, everything that we see, everything around us, everything that we drive, every outfit, every bill, all is going to be destroyed, man. Okay, so we shouldn't have this, this unseparable attachment, to the things of this age, man. Your desk, you might be a, supervisor, a supervisor. Hey, that all it's gonna perish. We use this word for the moment. We use, the things that the Lord, has provided us with for the moment. But this is not. We're not attached to these things, man. And what's gonna make most people fold is that they got so much going on. Okay, that they can't see a reality outside of this, man. We should be able to see a reality outside of this current little setup, man. Okay, because we got to maintain our right now, so we do what we got to do to maintain our right now. Okay, but we understand, man, this is just a little temporary setup, man. It's going to be a time that we're going to have to let things go, man. It's going to happen, it can happen bit by bit, or it can happen at once, man. Look at Job. It was just back to back, man. But he got everything back, plus some, man. Okay, and Yahweh already let us know what the play was for those that gave up everything for him. Hundredfold, man. So there's no such thing as a loss in Yahweh, only gain. There's only gain in Yahweh. Ain't no loss. We really can't lose this world. We can only shed this world. So we really can't lose nothing. We can only shed. It's even when we shed our old man, we're making room for Yahweh. When you get rid of that old, the more we get rid of that old nigga, the more room for Yahweh, man. So Yahweh gotta clear us out on this side, because he finna give us so much on the next. You see? So we got everything, to look forward to, and what this devil got to offer shouldn't even register, man. What this nigga finna get ready to throw out there, as salvation through this MOTB, man, it shouldn't even register, man. You know, and like I say, you really gotta have the spirit. Like, nah, nigga, we'll real rather go to the spiritual world, man. You know, so let's get this, man. What was it? Yeah, let's get this in Isaiah. All right, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 62. Okay, and verse 11. It says, "Behold, the Lord hath proclaimed unto the end of the world. Say ye to the daughter of Zion." Okay, so this is, of course, the end of the world, speaking over here in the Western Hemisphere, and the end of this age. So this is a future prophecy, man. Okay, he was speaking to us in this time. All right, say ye to the daughter of Zion, behold, thy salvation cometh, Yahweh Shai. Behold, his reward is with him. Yahweh Shai coming with the real reward, man. This nigga ain't got nothing to offer. Esau don't have nothing to offer, man. Okay, we shouldn't even have the spirit to entertain nothing this nigga talking about, man. Okay, this nigga should be a clown to us at this point. Okay, and then as we understand what we got to come more and more, come on, man. His reward is with him. He's coming with immortality, man. He's coming with power. He's coming with more wisdom. Okay? He's gonna come and conquer the earth, man, and divide it amongst his brethren, man. Okay, what are we talking about on this side, man? That's why it's easy, and the more that we believe in what's to come, the easier it is for us to be content with our current situation, man. That's something I'm learning, daily, man. The more I believe in what's to come, the easier it is for me to be content, with, my current situation, man. I ain't lacking for nothing, man. Like I got more than enough in every category, man. And then especially understanding, believing what Yahweh Shai coming back with, man. Hey, marathon mode, man. Anchor down for the marathon, man. Okay? It says, behold, his reward is with him and his work before him, So his reward, what he's coming back to bless the elect with, and then he's finna go to work on these nations, man. And that's part of our reward as well, man, to see Yahweh Shai dominate the heathen, man, eradicate the militaries of the heathen, man. All right, clear the path for paradise, man. And peace. You see? So like I said, man, the Lord, got us in situations, mind that we and see it ain't even about what we want no more. It's about what's needed. Because we can have unlimited wants, man, but now it's about, okay, I got what I need. The Lord give us, a little leeway every now and then. You see, the click your heels every now and then, all right, and sit your ass down. You see, because we got everything we need, man. Plus a little bit of what we want, but it ain't about our wants no more, man. It was never about our wants. Okay, it's about what's needed for the ministry, to forward the ministry, and when Yahweh Shai come back, it's on, man. So that's the point. Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you few sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Mekakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, and being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings, salutations to the whole flesh. Shalom.